Hello there, this is Craig Hane, or Dr. Dale, as my students call me. And this is going to be a video on part 5 of my book, How and Why Public School Math is Destroying the USA. Bit of hyperbole maybe, but it's certainly hurting the USA in very serious ways. It's keeping us from being what we could be, and that's what this is about. And this is part 5 of the book, which is the part that tells you about the new program that's now available in the 21st century that the public schools are not using anything like it, and it transforms math education and makes virtually all students successful. And so to do that, I'm going to share the screen and show you how and why that is. Now, this is my personal website, craighane.com. And if you've watched my other videos on my other parts, you know about it. My stories here, my VTOB, there's a library with lots and lots of math videos that are just general interest. You come down here, and if you know a student, a young adult wanting to improve their life, they want to click on that and go to that. But this is going to be about this book. So you click on the free ebooks, and when you click on that, it'll take you here, and you can download a free PDF copy of this book. Now, you go to Amazon and buy this book for under $5, but this lets you get a free PDF copy of it, and here it is. Now, as I said, this is going to be part 5. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to come down through here, and in the first 4 parts, I did videos on those. You can watch any of them you want to, and I won't go over what that is again. You can look at it and see if you're interested. And this is going to be part 5 rather. And this is the 21st century solution. Part 4, by the way, was what's wrong with public school math today. And this is a solution. Now, chapter 25 is what I call a sales pitch. And it is basically telling you about a 21st century solution, which is a 6-tier math program that virtually all students can succeed with. And then down below, I'll tell you a little bit more about what's in it. But the whole idea is there's no excuse today for us not to be delivering a successful math education for all of our students. The high schools today, I'm guessing 80 to 90% of the students are not learning the math they need to know and not really succeeding at math in a true way. And I explained why in part 4 that is. And that can turn around. With modern technology and what we have today, 25%, 90% can succeed. Now, the first key to that and a critical ingredient for successful math education for virtually any student is what I call spike pedagogy. And this chapter 26 explains it. Self-pacing, proper content, interactivity, keeping score, and empathy. This is a critical ingredient. When you teach a student as a tutor one-on-one, you can do this every time, and you should do this. In a classroom environment, you can't do it. And I explain why in part 4. So now there's no excuse. Now, what I've done, the second thing is required for a successful 21st century math education is a proper math content. Again, that's not being done in our schools. Not only they're not using the right pedagogy, they're not using the right content. And I tell you then, a 6-tier program that we've created, it's online, that uses spike pedagogy and proper math content. And you put those two together, and you have a math program that any student can take on their own time, self-paced, at home, and become well-educated in math. The first thing we teach them to do is master a scientific calculator. And the one we teach them to master is the TI-30XA, which is about a $10 scientific calculator, and it's phenomenal. It's a great calculator. When the first scientific calculator came out in 1972, the Pt5, it cost in today's dollars about $2,500, and it wasn't near as good as this. This is a much better calculator for about $10. So that's what's happened in 50 years. This came out many years ago, of course, and this is very highly, you can use this on SAT and ACT tests, and this is the only calculator that they'll ever have to buy. Once they learn to use this scientific calculator, they'll be able to use any other scientific calculator. Graphing calculators, for reasons I'll tell you about, are obsolete. So that's the first thing they're going to do. The next thing they're going to do, and I talk about in chapter 29, is they're going to get a foundation that every student needs, what I call a practical math foundation. Now, what that consists of is they're going, once they've mastered the calculator, they're going to learn practical algebra, practical geometry, and practical trigonometry all in one semester, believe it or not. And when they do that, they're now ready to go into a technical program to join the workforce or to the military. And virtually all students can do this. They love it. This is really good for students that have struggled with math and maybe failed at math, and they don't like math, and they go in and go, wow, well, this is easy. I can't believe how easy this is. And they love it. But I don't put any of I told you back up in part 4, all the stuff that's in the high school math programs today that shouldn't even be in it. Well, none of that's in there. This is what they need. Now, if they're not going to go to college, basically they probably don't need much more math. If they're going to go to college, I have in tier 3, by the way, this is tiers 1 and 2 out of a 6-tier program. In tier 3, I get them ready for the SAT and the ACT, and there is some math in it they might find of value, consumer math, and so on. Maybe half of the lessons they'll use sometime. A lot of them they won't, but they got to use them for the SAT. Once they go through tier 3, they'll get a pretty good score on the SAT or the ACT. Does that mean now they're ready to go to a good school for science and engineering? The answer is no, not even remotely close. You can score a perfect score on the SAT or the ACT and be nowhere near prepared for a good science and engineering program at a really good school like MIT or Purdue or wherever. So then what I do in tier 4, I teach them pre-calculus. Now this is the same subjects, algebra, geometry, trigonometry at a much deeper level, along with complex numbers and analytical geometry. And this now, in the old days, was extremely difficult with the manual tools. But in 2009, a new modern tool was introduced to the market called Wolfram Alpha. And that makes these subjects from a difficulty level of 6 to 8 down to a difficulty level of 1 to 2. It's absolutely amazing how much easier it is to learn the concepts with the modern tool than it was with the old manual tools. The old manual tools were very difficult to learn. They were error prone. They were tedious, and you had to learn them in order to learn the concepts. The concepts were always pretty easy. It was the tools were hard. The old manual tools are all obsolete. Now you've got the modern tool, Wolfram Alpha, and that makes learning the concepts much easier, and the tool is very easy to use. It's just absolutely amazing. The difficulty level has now gone from a 6 or 8 down to a 1 or 2. Now, once they've done pre-calculus, they're ready for calculus. Now, historically, most high schools don't teach integral calculus. They teach differential calculus, which manually, it's hard, but you can do it. Integral calculus is extremely difficult manually. Most high schools don't even get into integral calculus. They just do differential calculus, calculus 1. Wolfram Alpha makes them both very easy. Now you can learn differential calculus and integral calculus, all of it in one semester. Absolutely amazing. 30 lessons. You learn the concepts. The concepts are never terribly difficult. It's the tools that were hard, and this tool is easy to use. So the difficulty level now of integral calculus has gone from an 8 down to a 2. Amazing. And so now a student, by the time if they start with my program when they're 12 or 13, and if they work at it, an hour a day, 5 days a week, steadily, they'll be through this by the time they're 16 years old. No schools today that I know of even try to teach differential equations. Differential equations are the workhorse of science and engineering. The solution of a differential equation is a function. And a function then is analyzed with calculus, but you got to get the function. Well, differential equations is even harder than integral calculus manually with the modern tool Wolfram Alpha is easy. One semester, they learn differential equations. So if a student's gone through my 6-tier program, they're better prepared now to go to a good science school or engineering school than any student from any public school program. I'm not talking about no matter how bright they are. In fact, a student of one level of brightness will know more math now than the brightest student that goes through the old manual way. So that's what you learn in this book. And that leads to bad news and good news. And of course, the bad news you can imagine is if you don't do the modern way, it can be very difficult, and students don't even try to go into science and engineering. They give up. Math's too hard. I can't do the math, or it's just too difficult. It's too boring. I don't want to do it. Find something else to do. That's the bad news. But with Wolfram Alpha, the good news is it's easy now, and they love it. And students, I would say that out of 10 students that are interested in science and engineering, maybe 2 of them will endure the manual tools, and 8 of them will drop out. When I was in college, when they got into the advanced math, a high percentage of them would stop being a math major and go into economics or some other subject, or not even go into science. The good news is today that out of 10 students, 8 or 9 of them, if they want to, go into science. Now, there's a syllabus for the program to show what's in the 6 tiers. There's free resources, there's special offers, and it's all available through this book. And here's the syllabus, for example. And well, it's down at the bottom. I'm just going through the table of contents now. I don't know, will this jump ahead to the syllabus? It might. Let's see if it does. Let's see if this goes ahead to the syllabus. I don't know if it jumps ahead or not in this PDF. Whoops, come on. There you go. You jump ahead. Ah, I went to it. So here's the syllabus. Tier 1, 16 lessons to learn the calculator. And they're fun and easy. And most students, when they go through this is particularly true of students that don't like math or afraid of math. They've had a bad experience with it. That's a lot of students. They go through that. Well, this can't be math. This is easy. It's like a game. Very easy. Each one of these lessons is a tutorial video, me tutoring off Amazon Web Services. Most of them are 5 or 10 minutes long. They can back it up, pause it, come back to it. Then there's the notebook with exercises and notes in it. And again, you can get those off Amazon very inexpensively. 16 lessons. And that's all they need to know about the calculator to do practical math. Then I do 10 lessons of pre-algebra. That's just making sure they know the rules of arithmetic, really. They should know that already by the time they get, this is usually for students now 12, 13 years old. Then I do practical algebra. 10 lessons, that's all. And they're easy. People say, well, I thought algebra was hard. No, when you teach the practical algebra that you need, this is all you ever need, by the way, for most technical subjects. I'm not talking about engineering now, science. I'm talking about a technical subject, technology. 19 lesson geometry. How long is something? What's the area? What's the volume? You can't do angles yet. By the way, use algebra and geometry together, and the calculator makes the calculations all very easy. All this now becomes easy because you do all the arithmetic with a calculator, and the concepts are very easy to apply. They don't deal with angles very well. You need trigonometry. How many? 7 lessons. Now, trigonometry scares most people, but trigonometry, practical trig is easy. They go through, this is tier 2. They do the whole thing in one semester. Most students do. Self-paced. It's amazing. And now they're ready for the workforce, the technical workforce. They're going to college. They need tier 3. And you can see what is included in that. I now use a textbook by Dr. George Simmons, 119 pages long, the best high school math textbook ever written, in my opinion, and no school has ever adopted it. Why? It only costs about $20. Thank God it's still in print. And I use it along with notes to get you ready for the SAT and the ACT. That's tier 3. There's 3 parts to it. The third part, I'm really trying to get you ready to, how do you take a test? Because it's a time test. It's tricky. Now, some of this will be practical and you'll use it. And a lot of it you'll never use, but you need it for the SAT. Now, are you ready for science and engineering? No, not at all. Now, in tier 4, I'm going to go through these subjects at a much deeper level. And notice at A5, I introduced Wolfram Alpha. And from that point on, I use it. It came out in 2009, and it totally transforms the way you learn STEM math, math for science and engineering. From that point forward, I use Wolfram Alpha. Makes it all very easy. This looks hard. Manually, all this would have been very difficult. Manually, very difficult. In fact, complex numbers are really taught in high school properly, rarely. Easy now. Special topics, geometry. Most students do tier 4 in about 1 year. The notes and exercise books on it is 500 pages. Notes and exercise, but it's not difficult. It's a lot to it. Calculus then is tier 5, and you'll notice that differential calculus is 12 lessons. You go ahead up through 30 lessons for integral calculus, and thanks to Wolfram Alpha, it's all very easy. This is calculus 1 and calculus 2. With the manual tools, this was a 2-year program, and a lot of students would flunk out of it in integral calculus. When I taught in engineering school for 4 years, integral calculus flunked more students out of engineering school than anything else. It was a barrier. Wolfram Alpha now is a great tunnel through the barrier, no longer a barrier. If you're going to do engineering and science, you need differential equations. That's never taught in high school. Way too difficult manually. With Wolfram Alpha, it's easy, and I do it in tier 6, and you learn all the differential equations you need in 14 lessons, one semester. And Wolfram Alpha solves them for you. It's amazing. So that's what this is all about, and that's what I wanted to tell you. And so if you read this book, then you'll go and hopefully do these things. Now, when you go to my website that I took you to originally, if you know a student that wants to learn math or in other ways improve their life, they need to join the Triad Math Tribe. Very inexpensive. In fact, the first 30 days is free if you don't love it. Most students will love it. They stay in it. $30 a month for if you're 18 years or older. It's only $9 a month if you're under 18. And if you go out and recruit some other tribe members, you get paid to do that. You can bring the cost down to zero. So it can be free, really, in essence. In fact, you can make money doing it. If you went out and recruited a lot of the tribe members, you could actually make money. We're going to have some tribe members going to make a significant amount of money because they're going to go recruit a lot of other tribe members, and they get paid a third of what the tribe members are paying to do that. And that's all explained in this book that I would encourage you to get a copy of and read. Whoops, yeah, public school math is destroying the USA. And I explain in the book, when I say destroying the USA, what I mean is destroying what it should be and could be. If you take 1 million people out there that aren't going to go into a technical subject because of math, and all of a sudden they go into the technical subject, I'm not talking science engineering now, just a good technical career in 100 different technical subjects that would pay $100,000 a year if you get good at it. Welding, carpentry, you name it, lots of subjects, electronics. That person, instead of getting a minimum wage job or a low paying job they don't like, they're doing something they love to do and they're making good money at it, maybe $40, $50 an hour, $100,000 a year. That's good for their family. It's good for them. And if you had 1 million people doing that, it's good for industry because industry needs trained people. Today, there are literally, I'm told, 1 million jobs going unfilled because they can't find people that can do them. They bring in foreigners to do it under these visas, which is controversial. I'm not against doing that at all. But if our people aren't trained, the foreign countries are giving their people better training in applied math than the United States is. We're way down the list as our public schools. And most of our private schools are down the list too because they're doing basically what the public schools do. Some of them are a little bit better. Now, if you take my 6-tier program, that's better than even probably what the foreign countries are doing. Certainly as good as they are. And so you're getting our students ready. So instead of having to import people that can do it, we have our own people that can do it. That's what I mean about destroying the USA. If we're not giving our students the training they need to be successful, to me, that is bad. And that's destroying what the USA could be and should be. Should be. What if you had 1 million people, adults, that instead of doing jobs they don't like, not paying very well, doing jobs they do like, they're paying really well? If you join the Triad Math Tribe, I explain all that with wisdom tools, extrinsic motivation versus intrinsic motivation. When you take my math program, most students get intrinsically motivated to learn math, and they like it. And then they can go into fields that otherwise they couldn't go into. Not necessarily science and engineering. The first 2 tiers get you ready for all kinds of technical fields that'll pay good money. And if you're not going into science and engineering, or some other subject that requires a degree, you don't even go to college. In fact, in my wisdom tools, I have a talk about should you go to college or not. A lot of students today shouldn't go to college. They don't need to go to get a good job, to have a great career. Some should. And then I also have a wisdom tool that says, here's how you go to college with no debt, even if you don't come from a rich family. Learn that. That's in the wisdom tools. That's part of joining the Triad Math Tribe. You have access to a couple dozen wisdom tools, any one of which could mean a lot to you. They all help me in my life. They're tools I learned from other people. Once in a while, I learned it the hard way from hard knocks, mostly from other wise people, and then I applied it to my life. I've had a very fascinating life. I've had lots of ups and downs and failures and successes and excitement and adventures because I wanted a life. I wanted an adventuresome life. And when you do a lot of adventures, they work out all different ways. So that's what this is all about. Get this book, read the PDF, free PDF, buy it on Amazon for under $5, read a hard copy, take notes, tell other people about it, send them to the website, and hopefully it'll improve their life, and that'll improve the world. As I said in the Triad Math Tribe, the ultimate goal, as far as I'm concerned, and everything I'm doing to help people, is to prevent war. I think if we don't get the human race, sapiens, if we don't get them all elevated to a point where the tribes quit fighting each other, we may destroy our civilization as we know it. The technologies are getting so powerful today. I'm not too worried about nuclear warfare. That could happen. I'm more worried about AI warfare and warfare from space. I think the nuclear thing is still a threat, but it's not the biggest threat today. And so if people educate themselves and become productive, and we can not only start in the United States and then spread it around the world, pretty soon, if everybody is getting elevated in their quality of life and getting all the material things they need in terms of food and shelter and that sort of thing, and then opportunities to do things that are intrinsically motivated, we can stop the war. What would happen today if all the money we spend on war, all the different countries in the world spending money on war, what if we spent that money on education and getting people to elevate themselves? That's what we need to be doing, in my view. And I think this can happen. I think if we get 1 million members in the tribe, the Triad Math Tribe, I think that transformation can then take over and take place. 1 million doesn't sound like very many when you've got billions of people, but 1 million, each person is going to affect probably 10 or 20 other people. So it's going to expand exponentially. And that's my goal in life. That's what I want to see happen. So this is Craig Hane, Dr. Dale. This is part 5. Hope you read the book. Then I hope you get any adults you know to join the tribe, Triad Math Tribe. And that's all, by the way, get all that off my website, craighane.com. It's all there. And at the very minimum, will improve the life of the people that do it. And hopefully we get enough people doing it, will improve the world in a dramatic way. Craig Hane, Dr. Dale, bye-bye. I hope you have a great life, and I hope I see you on some videos. Bye-bye.